entertainment section, we want to talk about two people who have been in the news for quote unquote cancel culture related things. Gina Carano, she's from the show The Mandalorian. She's also a former MMA fighter. A couple of other movies here and there.
Deadpool.
Deadpool, yes, yeah. And then Morgan Wallen, he's a country music artist, and whose album has been taken off recently because of the thing that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about what they both got into trouble for and how each of them responded. All right, so let's talk about Gina Carano first. And I'm gonna put it on the screen. I just hope I remember to do that. But there's a
just in case you don't.
Uh-huh.
So what Gina Carano did is she shared a post. So Gina
on
Carano
Instagram.
did not know
On
this.
Instagram. Mm-hmm.
On Instagram, yeah. I did not know this, that Gina Carano is a MAGA person. Like, I didn't pay attention enough to it. But apparently she's a MAGA. This isn't the first time. She's done other stuff. You know how when people started doing the... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you remember Hercules from the 90s? Kevin Sorbo?
Yeah, God.
Yeah. He's also like heavy MAGA.
Gina Carano is trying to see who can go that route faster, her or Kevin Sorbo.
Well, and Lucy Lawless, who played Xena Warrior Princess, like called out Kevin Sorbo about something. Like,
well, not only that, but they're actually saying that Lucy Lawless should replace Gina Carano.
Oh, really? Oh, hey, I'll be all for that. I'll be all for that. All right, sorry, go on.
Lucy Lawless is bae, so I'd be more down for that. But Gina Carano, she shared an Instagram post, and she's apparently a big MAGA guy, a MAGA person. She, on her Twitter, she put beep boop beep, which was supposedly like a backhanded like insult to like people who started putting their pronouns her, them, remember her, she, them. So she put beep boop beep. Which her co-star from The Mandalorian has a transgender sister.
Yeah.
She actually said that he educated her on that, so she kind of apologized for that. He's like, hey, he kind of educated me on the importance of those pronouns. So, anyways, she shares a post from somebody else. I'm not gonna Warrior Prestige.
Whatever. It'll be on the screen. Yeah.
They're not important.
Don't give them any more. Yeah.
Yeah, so they shared she shared where it says Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? They share it with a photo of back in Germany, of Nazi Germany, where they're beating somebody's beating down a Jew. There's actually a specific name for that program. I unfortunately don't know the name, but if you know the history of Germany, you know what it's about. So she's comparing. That was Gino's sigh of just like, what the F?
Yeah, if you're listening to this on podcast, firstly, that means that we've done it and we're on a podcast. And secondly, search us out on YouTube so you can see the faces I'm making. But yes, sorry, carry on. I didn't mean to sigh.
No, it's understandable why you would do that, because it's ridiculous, right? It's like, yo, we're not rounding you up for being conservatives. Like, nobody's rounding you up for being a conservative. People were rounded up for being Jews. Nobody's taking you. What internment camp are you going to be taken to? You ain't going to be taken to an internment camp. So what? So Gina Carano can't no longer be overpaid on a show? Like, how is that? That is not Nazi Germany.
So one thing that I've learned over my 30 years of life is that do not make the mistake of equating whatever struggles you think you're having with the Holocaust. That's like rule number one. Do not do that. You are going to get flamed, right? Because anyone who's listened to a history class, heck, anyone who's watched Schindler's List knows that is a very bad idea to do that.
Yeah.
She is essentially, have you seen La Vie est Belle? Life is Beautiful? The Italian guy, but he's playing a Jew in a Nazi camp. It's like a comedy, but it's like really tragic in the end.
No, but I've heard about it. I heard it's a crazy story. It's a crazy movie where he's basically trying to guard him from.
Yes,
from the horror. To mention that, because I was listening to I was listening to something. Oh, Robin Williams. I was listening to his autobiography, and they talk about that because they said the guy who was the best actor won it over Robin Williams. It's so crazy that you mentioned that because they talk about
Roberto Benigni, I think is his name. But yeah, so basically they're in this Nazi internment camp, and he's basically trying to shield his son from the realities of it by like doing all these things to like make it seem like it's a game and all that stuff. It's a really beautiful movie. But yeah, anyone that's like watched any of these movies or read anything about the Holocaust knows that first of all, you can't. It's almost like being black, and you can't change that you're black. People identify you as something, and you're basically marked for death. No one says, "Oh, you're a conservative. That means that you're going to be in a gas chamber, or that means that you're not going to be able to say anything you want or whatever." These people keep conflating consequences for saying dumb stuff with somehow being infringed upon, like for the like in life. I don't get it. I think it's ridiculous to do that. But
the problem is you will never understand what it's like to be a white conservative in a country where a white conservative just got off from trying to overturn the country. You will never understand their pain. So real quickly about the Gina part, right? Because we mentioned her. What's her co-host name? Her co-star
Pedro Pascal.
So Pedro Pascal, they were trying to drag him under, right? Like conservatives were trying to, what about him? And they pointed out where he shared a tweet where he talked about Nazi Germany, the camps, and compared it to the cages down in the border of Mexico. And everybody's like, so let me get this right. Pedro Pascal compares cages of a particular class of people to another class of people that were put in cages.
Yeah, he compares internment with internment, right? And she's comparing being beaten on the street and having dogs sicked on you
for being who you are.
Yeah,
not a choice. Who you are.
Yeah, for being of a certain demographic. She compares being sicked on by dogs or with dogs to
being dropped from a multi-million-dollar contract.
Yeah, I said some ridiculous thing like the Capitol storming was done by Antifa, and now people don't want to work with me anymore. She's comparing those two things. It's ridiculous, right? So obviously, the conservatives have wrapped their hands around her. I think Ben Shapiro, who's actually Jewish, is doing something.
That's crazy, right?
With Gina Carano now, like, oh, we're not gonna let them cancel you and all that.
Look at that. Her career is going exactly the way she wanted it to go. Why would you want to be with Lucasfilm when you could be with Ben Shapiro?
Right. I mean, that's only on the way up.
The guy who doesn't understand how women's anatomy works.
But that's the thing, right? These conservatives in media, they thrive off of being aggrieved. They thrive off of the victimization, like, oh, no one likes me because of the way I think. Like, it's so stupid. But anyway, then there was another guy, Morgan Wallen. Tell us that story.
So honestly, I don't want to dive too deep into the story because I really don't know about the actual story, but I do know about the reaction to it. Yes. So basically, he was caught saying the N-word, right? Okay. And you can correct us if we're wrong, but it was in private, right? He was just caught saying the N-word to one of his friends. Instantly an uproar, right? But the same conservative people who are like, oh, we're getting shut down, shot his album sales all the way high. So I don't get that. Like the whole idea of like, it
was like in response to him being canceled, like, no, we're going to reverse cancel him.
Yeah. and no, I'm not going to speak on the reaction to the N-word because I don't know that. The N-word is just, it's a complicated thing, right? It could me trying to explain how I feel about that word can get me canceled just because I probably will say it wrong.
Okay, shall I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So here's my thing about the Morgan Wallen story, and I think you were going to get to this part, but I do have to touch on this to complete my train of thought. So Morgan Wallen got called out for the whole N-word thing. I think he got dropped by his agent or
Yeah.
label or something, maybe both. And
No,
then
it was definitely his label. You're going to talk
yeah,
about his apology, right?
right, right. So people responded by increasing his album sales, because that's what people do. Um, but then this guy came out and said that, hey, what I did was indefensible. I apologize. Yada yada. I think he spoke about some of the people that he reached out to apologize, and said, please don't defend my actions. What I did was wrong. Right. So he did that. I appreciate that, because there's one thing about me is that, you know yes, I want people to be held accountable for doing something wrong, but I also believe in forgiveness, if especially if I feel like you actually mean an apology, right? Because I'm not a perfect person, and I don't know anyone that is, and I know that I will make mistakes. And if Zeus raised his hand to say he is, I know that I will make mistakes, and I would like to be given that room to grow, to make up for my mistakes and grow and be better.
Yeah.
So why would I deprive him of that?